Hello, welcome to episode 6 of Evolving Democracy. I'm Joni here with my dear friend Christy, and today we will be talking about being a hero, that everyone can be a hero. Now, I've been thinking about heroes and villains and thinking about the motivation of why a villain might do these villainous deeds. And the motivation we often think of is money, power, control. But why do the heroes do what they do? It seems like the hero's motivation is different. The hero is more about caring for the least of these, the more for justice, more for love. So when Christy and I were talking, we were talking about how can we all be that hero, because we are all about love. We are all about community. We are all about the things that heroes embody. What do you think, Christy?
Absolutely. I think this is a fabulous topic. And just as an aside, we haven't really talked about this before. Joni writes something pretty much every week on Tuesdays. It's fabulous. This week was about heroes and villains. So if you get done watching this, definitely go over to her Substack and read her weekly, I don't know if we call it article, column, episode, blog post, whatever, all of the above. So this was part of what got this topic rolling this week. And of course you hear, don't be a hero, as in don't exhaust yourself. I mean, we had the rest stop last week. We're all about not exhausting yourself. But
Mhm.
this is, where are the opportunities where you can do something to help others? Because the villain is so much about themselves and about taking and about hoarding, and whether it's money or power or whatever. And heroes are so much about, how can we share? How can we be some part of something bigger? How can we contribute even in a tiny way? And this does not have to be political. I mean, this can be smiling at someone at the grocery store. This can be, doing some, paying it forward in the coffee line, whatever. Like, there's a lot of different ways where we can be a little bit of a hero on our own recognizance, if you will, like with our own sense of what feels good to us. Because to me, being a hero, and you don't have to call it that, but doing something good feels good, because then you feel uplifted. You feel like you're doing something that matters. There's probably a little endorphin hit in there of like, yeah, that was kind of fun. I really kind of enjoyed that, which feeds the sense of let's keep going and let's keep doing something important. It's interesting. Rick mentioned in our chat that he unsubscribed from 10 Substack accounts. Well, why would we do that? Because so often the Substack accounts are something that bring us down and make us feel like, ah, I have less hope than I had before, or oh, we're doomed, or whatever. And he writes, but not this one. He didn't unsubscribe from this one because this brings us this sense of we can do something, we can have an impact, we can make a difference, we can be that hero even in a small way in our lives.
Yeah, and we don't think of ourselves as heroes. We're not running around with capes. Uh, but as Christy said, it can feel heroic to someone else if you do something that seems small to you, but you never know the impact you have on someone else's life when you do that. There's so many,
Oops,
oops,
cattail. Sorry.
laughing. Laughing is something good too, the endorphins. There's so many stories of small actions that someone took that looking backward, the other person will say, this changed my life. Now, you think about the impact of teachers. That could be something small to the teacher that impact. I know that for me personally, I would not play the piano the way I do if it wasn't for my choir teacher um, in high school who said, I want you to accompany. I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And she said, yeah, no, I know you can. And here's this piece, which was super hard.
Oops.
Brahms, how lovely is thy dwelling place. And I worked so hard to do it, but she believed in me. That had an impact on my life. But it's not just teachers who do that. It's friends who do that. It's strangers who do that. And if they're doing it from a place of love, from a place of how can I help? What do I see in you that you do not yet see? How can I make your life better? And that's one of the things that distinguishes heroes from villains. Heroes are looking out for more than just themselves. And villains want everything that they can grab.
It's so interesting because, when you're a child, you have to be taught to share. Or at least many children do. Maybe some are like intuitively the sharing kind of people. But from an early age, hopefully you're taught this feels better. This is more connecting. This helps you not be alienated and hated. I mean, they're not doing that overtly, but it's like this is what we do. This is how we behave in order to connect, in order to be part of community, in order to really see and hear each other. We don't take it all for ourselves. And it doesn't have to be heroic, like you say, to do something small, to find a way to make that little difference. And of course, we are skewing this towards politics. And, what is the little difference? I've heard this story twice in the last week. I've read this story twice, and I won't get it exactly right. But there was a guy in Nazi Germany that was writing on postcards saying, this is what's going on. And he was leaving them around the city. I think it was in Berlin. I'm not 100% sure. But he was leaving it around wherever he lived. And basically, they said it probably didn't persuade a single person. And eventually, people kept turning them in. And eventually, he got arrested and he got put to death. I mean, it was just, from one perspective, it's a story of like, well, that was pretty useless. But the idea was that he felt it was important to say something, to speak up, to have people become more aware, to do whatever he could come up with to do something. And my sense from it, he did not regret it at all. Like this was the thing he felt he could do. So if we find the thing we think we can do that will make a little bit and even an incremental difference, there's a way in which it sort of validates us. It sort of reinforces, oh, you're on the right track. Oh, you have something that can make a difference. This week we donated to the Secretary of State. I mentioned them last week how he had an inspiring video that we watched. We want to reinforce those people. Here, keep going. Here, use this for your advertising. Here, use this to get reelected. We want more of that. So I think this self-reinforcing and then reinforcing others whenever you can. Go, 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 keep going, keep doing this. This is amazing. I mean, I wonder, I have no information, no data whatsoever, how many people contact Heather Cox Richardson and say, go, you're doing the greatest thing. I'm sure she gets the haters, but I'm wondering because I have to say I haven't done it. I sort of take her for granted. I do like her posts and so on, which is another interesting thing. If you see like 3,000 likes on something, are you going to like it as well? I probably am. And again, there's that little endorphin hit of like, yes, this is for me. This whole validating and self-validating, I think, is an important part of being a hero, if you will.
Well, and there's research on the endorphins that we do get a physiological benefit from supporting others, from validating others, from saying, I like what you're doing. And there's that connection, that human connection there. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get it right. Flying buttresses in architecture. You see this often in Gothic cathedrals. This was a demonstration that a minister used that I loved. She took two teenagers and said, "Okay, come up," and they did an arch, and then she said, "Okay, I'm going to try and break that," and she went like that, and it broke easily. And then she had two other teenagers come up and put their hands on the shoulders of the two in the middle. And she said, "Okay, I'm going to break you." And she couldn't. She couldn't break them because that is the power of community. That is the power of standing behind someone and saying, I am with you. You are not alone. And that feeling of not being alone, being part of something bigger than yourself, is so important.
Absolutely. And that's why these so many organizations have sprung up over these. Well, it hasn't been just this last year, although there certainly are more that have sprung up since the inauguration of He Who Shall Not Be Named. Um, but like I came across one yesterday I'd never heard of. I mean, there's so many, of course, you haven't heard of all of them. And it's Stand Up for Racial Justice. And it's a bunch of white people, yay, Caucasian, whatever, fighting for people of other races. And I love that people are coming together and going, look, we have this privilege, we have this power, we have this voice. Let's use it for good. And by doing it in community, of course, that lifts things up more, similarly to unions, where having a collective voice is so much more impactful than a single person. And that exercising of that voice in unison, it reminds me of the choir analogy you used last week. When we speak in unison, it just reverberates in a different way.
Yeah, and it reverberates in us too. It's not just the sound out there. There's something that connects in us that we feel. We feel that support. We feel that sense of love, that sense of community, that sense of shared purpose. Now, one of the other things I thought of is, what's the motivation? And going back to the villains and what they're doing. And the people who are supporting the villains are often motivated by transactional things. They're motivated by what can I get out of this? What kind of power can I gain? What sort of money can I extort? Whereas the people who are heroes and supporting heroes are motivated by something else. It's not transactional. It's this greater sense of caring. It's this greater sense of how can I share in community and have this purpose of something that is bigger than me, that is greater than anything I can ever imagine. This sense of the force, going back to Star Wars, that there is something that comes through us that binds us together. And that's the motivation for heroes. And the motivation for, on the villain side, people helping the villains, is far weaker. It doesn't stand the test of time. It's momentary and it's transactional.
Yeah, and transactional doesn't really land. We've talked about this before. It's not at a heart level. It's just very superficial, very temporary. They talk about people who win the lottery. Their mood often goes back down, or when I don't know if mood outlook perspective goes down pretty soon after they win because they haven't changed internally. They've just gotten this windfall. And it seemed like, oh, this would change my life because I was very focused on my financial issues. But apparently that's not enough for people to really feel a change. But so the internal work is very different than the external grabbing and so on. And again, it's sort of like the black hole. We have the Tesla tyrant is now a trillionaire. Ooh, TTT. But is he really satisfied? I suspect not, particularly when he's anti-empathy. So I really don't think he's feeling that human connection. He might be very bright, but he's not bright from the EQ sense of an intelligent quotient. I mean, emotional intelligence quotient. So the idea that we're doing this for some sort of reward is really, yeah, there are some rewarding aspects. There's some benefits, but it's not like the hero's going, I need the endorphins. I'm only doing this for the endorphins. They're doing it because it feels good to be in connection, to be in community, and so on. I mean, isn't it interesting that whatever being created humans wired us so that we do get endorphins from connecting, from being helpful, and so on. It's like it's baked in that we're intended to be these kind of people and not those kind of people. I hate to other people, but that the people that are feeling this disconnection because they're so bereft of being present in their own bodies and in their own lives. This really brings forward this idea that, oh, this is how it's supposed to be when it's working well. when the machinery is, you know, going as it is intended.
Well, and that the the motivation for money and power and control is often that's the means to an end, and the end is the sense of worth, the sense of if I have more money, then I will feel safe. If I have more money, then I will feel loved, or if I have the adulation, if I have fame. And if you listen to famous people, fame doesn't do that. They're searching in the wrong places to fill this hole that can never be filled by what they're aiming for. And I say this a lot, the people quote from the Bible that money is the source of all evil. It isn't. That's not what the Bible says. The love of money is the source of all evil. So the love of power, when you're seeking that, money or power or control, it's that love of that leads to evil.
And in my mind, I'm seeing the image of "You shall not be named," gold plated. The false idols kind of thing, that we're going to worship something that doesn't align to us. But let's switch back to the whole be a hero thing, if we may. And that is, I think part of this is, it's not like we're focusing on becoming a hero, but we're like, what can we do, and how can we make a difference? I think there's a big chance, a big opportunity here for us to get to know ourselves as well, that this is part of our growing and evolving. We're calling this evolving democracy, but it's also about our own evolution, becoming the people we want to be, becoming more who we were intended to be at a soul level. And I think some of that, from my own experience, some of that is trial and error. You try some things on. Does this feel like I'm making a difference? Does this feel good to me? Is this where I want to focus my time, energy, money, perhaps, if you're doing that? When I was first out of graduate school and I went to work at IBM, I was looking for ways to volunteer in the community, and I went to a recycling center. I thought, well, I'm a chemical engineer and I can help them, with things related to chemistry and so on. It was so depressing. How many people would drop stuff off and they would then, like, after they were gone, they're like, here, it just goes in the trash. Like, well, why don't you just put out a thing that says what goes in the trash, instead of these people coming with this hope that they're doing? And I was like, I can't work here. I can't volunteer here. But that's getting to know yourself. It seemed like, well, this could be a good alignment, but it didn't feel good. It felt like, oh, you're tricking these people and you're not really recycling. And it just didn't feel great. But other things I've done feel like, oh, wow, that really was gratifying. That felt aligned to me. That felt like I'm doing something that's useful and I'm making a difference. And I think that's a big part of this work here, or play, of seeing what's your thing, and who are you, and how does that feel, and how can you help, versus the, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed, I can't do anything, I'm out. I think, like, being persistent, like, well, that didn't feel great. I did a phone bank, didn't love it. Okay, well, what does feel good? Let me keep looking for those things. I still cannot believe I love protesting, but I do. So I say stay the course, keep playing, keep exploring. You may find something that really feels like it's yours to do.
And finding that thing that's yours is, you have more passion about it when you do. And if you try to do something that isn't yours because it's what you're supposed to do, it doesn't work nearly as well. So as Christy said, keep exploring, find what feels good, because we need every little bit. I have mentioned this organization before. This is something else you can try. It's called Common Sense American. You can find it at commonsenseamerican.org. And they are in process of releasing their, I can't remember what they call it, but it's the thing that they want voters to weigh in on about immigration. So this is something, sign up for them. I've been with them for several years now, and I truly appreciate this organization. And they end up working with Congress to try, and they've been working with Congress, which is why it's taken so long for them to put this brief together. But it's something that you can do, that you can feel that you're having some sort of impact, and that you, along with other voters of all stripes, are talking about these issues. And one of the things that I noticed early on is that once you get into the issues, it's far more complex than you think at the high level. And when you see pundits on TV, they're usually talking at the high level. They want to inflame people. But this is one way to be a hero. This is one way to find out if you like this. And if you don't like it, no harm, no foul. Just try something else, as Christy said. But there's so many opportunities. And one of the things we've gone back to a number of times is you never know the impact that you're having. You never know the ripples that are creating by your action. One example from my own life, I went all through K through 12 with this one person. We weren't really friends, but then in my 30s, someone I worked with knew him and connected us. Just we had one phone call, and in that one phone call, he said something that changed my life. I was going through my divorce at the time, and I was like, Miller's such a boring name. Why don't I keep my first husband's name? And he said, don't you think your parents would like it if you changed your name back? A simple statement. And it made me think about it differently. And I changed my name back to my maiden name, and I have never regretted it. It was the best thing that I could have done. One half-hour conversation with someone I really didn't know that well and have not talked to or interacted with since. You never know the ripples you have just by showing up and being yourself.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking too about how as we are continuing to get bombarded with negative news and potentially you could go down the rabbit hole of being hopeless and so on, is how do we find the nuggets where it looks like we're moving forward in a way we want to? To really reframe this as an opportunity, which is what Adrian Fontes, our Secretary of State, did in that YouTube talk. For most of us, that feels like a stretch. Even the historians, Joanne Freeman and Heather Cox Richardson, I've both heard them say, like, we did not see this coming. Like, we did not expect to be in the middle of history making, like, right. And history making is not typically just, oh, Yahoo, this feels great. It's more like, oh, trepidation and trouble and, oh, things fell backwards. And I mean, none of us have lived through this, but that the chaos and all of that apparently was on the menu. It's exactly what to expect in a situation like this. So to keep coming back to the hope, the optimism, the how can we look at this differently? I mean, it's really tempting every time you read something like a Heather Cox Richardson newsletter to start cursing afterwards. Although she does tend to bring it around. But it's like, okay, how do we then go, I see these little glimmers, and I'm gonna keep my eye on those little glimmers and hopefully have them burn into something more. It's so interesting. There's two wildfires that happened this week here in Arizona near our house. One we can see, one is just down the road a little ways. And there's a plant, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's SOTOL, sotol. And they have all these like spiky leaves that burn off, but the center is like this ball. It's almost like a bowling ball. And it gets, inflamed, and it'll roll down the hill. It'll roll down the mountain and it'll set things on fire as it rolls down. So in a positive sense, I want to be one of those sotols that rolls down the hill firing people up to say, we can do this. We got this. This is what we want. This is where we want to go. This is what we can envision when we work together, versus We just burned it all down. Oopsie, my mistake. No, like, how can we excite others, energize ourselves, keep going, and really burn away what no longer serves us
Mhm.
while preserving and letting grow forth the things that are our aspirations and our hope for what could be next for us. It really is an opportunity. The crisis opportunity mixed from the Chinese character is so apropos here. It's a crisis and it's an opportunity. There's a lot of hopeful things this week. We could talk about those. Juneteenth, the Obama, the Presidential Center. There's another really big one I'm not thinking of right now. But these are exciting times.
Oh, Mamdani with the New York Knicks.
Yes, the Knicks. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So look at all
Well,
of that.
and there's a psychological principle, well, in change of bright spots. You look to the bright spots and what can you learn and take from those bright spots and expand out. And if you look at Mamdani's speech, Michelle Obama's speech, there are bright spots in there that we can learn from and and roll down the hill so that we take those bright spots and infuse them in other people and in everything that we do as well.
And looking at the whole thing with the Knicks of them having a 0.4% chance of winning and going on to do so, our chances may sometimes look slim. They may look impossible. But that's the time to like double down and go, I'm doing this anyway. Like, this will not be stopped. We are rolling downhill. We know where we're headed. We're going to pick up steam. We're going to be more fired up. And we're collecting people as we go. I mean, we're not going to collect all the MAGA people, or maybe not even, a good percentage of them, but the people that have been undecided, the people that just didn't bother showing up, the people that are right on the fence. Oh. So my husband reported to me this week that I forget what the organization is that estimates what different representative districts are doing. We were a toss-up district, and now we're narrowly Democratic, or like barely. Woo! Like, I'll take it. Like, that's a good momentum in the direction of like, let's really really win this with a huge margin. But
Mhm.
just to even have it go from a toss-up to narrowly Democratic is huge. So I'm gonna be living off that for a while. Take the bright spots, people.
Yeah. And keep going with them. And remember what it is that we want to see on the other side because we want to see justice. It's like the superhero. The superhero isn't out for themselves. The superhero is Superman sweeps down and saves the young girl before she gets hit by the bus. And that energy, that sense of caring for every person is what we want. Everyone matters. Everyone has a voice. And the power of community, the power of letting everyone get education, letting everyone be inspired by their best self, using the best things. With when Christy was talking about finding what works for you, when we are all working from what we're best at, what inspires us, what lights us up, we are unstoppable.
And that brings something up for me too that I just want to put out there, and that is like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, you don't have to find the most idealized, this is exactly my purpose kind of thing. Although if you have that, great, that's extra juice and extra momentum for you. But if it's just like, well, I could at least do this. Let me try that on for size and see how that goes. And perhaps you do some tweaking from there. But waiting to be like 100% inspired, 100% aligned, we need you. Like, we don't want that to dissuade you from doing something, because we need those extra drops of water in the ocean to make this change happen. So we're very much enthused. connection, not perfection. That just came through. Yes, the big mantra from the video challenge I do and the video challenge I learned from initially. Yeah, this is really about how can we connect and do something that helps without feeling like, oh, it's not enough, or oh, it's not my thing. Just keep trying things on for size. Again, everything counts.
Yeah, and you never know the impact that you have. Think about the story I told about the the man who I had one conversation with, and it changed my life. You just
Exactly.
never know the ripples.
On that note, let's put love into action together.
Together.
See you
Thank you.
next time.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.